The following program, NORML Show Live, is intended for responsible adults only. We advocate for the repeal of marijuana prohibition for adults. We discuss the science, culture, and controversy about America's marijuana laws. We do not advocate or encourage any illegal activity and advise all listeners to learn their state and federal marijuana laws by visiting norml.org, NORML.org. Opinions and claims made by guests and advertisers of NORML Show Live are their own and do not necessarily reflect the philosophy and policies of NORML. Listener discretion is advised.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth.
Spanning the continent to bring you the truth about cannabis and marijuana law reform.
I smoke pot and I like it a lot.
From the promise of legalization.
And I think we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws.
To the agony of prohibition.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
The National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws presents NORML Show Live, Marijuana Nation. Now, here's your host, NORML's Outreach Coordinator, Radical Russ Belville.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is Monday, September 13th, 2010, and it's got to be 4:20 somewhere in the world. Welcome to the next 120 minutes of news, talk, interviews, information, music, comedy, and more by, for, and about the cannabis community. Our first hour is podcast on iTunes. Just look for the NORML Daily Audio Stash. Our second hour is live call-in only. Just a special treat for those of you who can join us during the afternoon. We're coming to you live and direct from Rolla J Studios in beautiful Potland, Oregon, where we are recovering from 5 days of mirth, merriment, and mayhem that we called the NORML National Conference, the Oregon NORML World Famous Cannabis Cafe, and the Portland Hemp Stock. And we got all sorts of special guests joining us today to talk about it. Coming up in the bottom half of the hour, we're going to speak with Garrett Overstreet from Tulsa NORML in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with an outsider's perspective of just how good we have it here in Portland, Oregon. Normally at this time, I'd be introducing you to our engineer, Ganja John, but Ganja John is out for the day, so instead we'll turn things over to our beautiful half-half sister in Astoria, Oregon, Cannabis Carrie. Oh, wrong one. This one.
I don't know if the stashers out there can hear some pounding in the background, but I have some people working on my deck today, and I have been told I'm not allowed to tell them to shut up for 15 minutes because they're getting $60 an hour.
Oh, hey man, I'll spot them the $15, man. That'll work. Oh yeah, we are having all sorts of fun here too because we had the NORML National Conference and I was exhausted from the conference. I was literally 4 hours of sleep each day, and so today I slept in a bit and got up a little late to set up the studio, and it's all set up. We all seem to be working. I think people are hearing us okay, but last second trying to get everything plugged in, make sure everything's working, and then to not have John here to help me out. Oh man, a lot of stress. But Garrett from Tulsa helped me out a little bit, so things are good. Hey, Carrie, how about yourself? You recovered so far from the conference and the hemp stock and all that?
I don't think you ever completely recover from something as epic as a NORML National Conference. So I'm going to go ahead and just ride with it.
Oh yeah, we met so many great people from the chat rooms too. We met Diva, a Diva Rat, and Mr. Spoff, two of our moderators. Yellowana Cake was there. Rolla J came on in, and who am I forgetting? Oh, Vapor King.
Casey NORML. And Casey NORML.
Oh yeah, that's
there,
right. Brandon Ryan, Casey NORML was there. He in fact donated his webcam to NORML Show Live, so we'll get to use that webcam from now on. That's going to be really nice. So yeah, really cool to meet all these people from all around the country who came out that have met each other through the show and got to meet each other in person. It's one of my favorite things about the internet, Carrie. I've been doing this stuff since '96 and meeting people all over the country who you only know them as type on a screen, and then you get to meet them in real life, and it's just so much fun. Did you feel that too?
Oh, it was. I'm sad Ganja John wasn't here today because I was going to give you guys a hard time. I mean, you're all rock and roll and Ganja John is all urban and hip hop, but I was going to say that convention meeting everybody, it was one big Grateful Dead love fest for me. So,
all right. Well, we'll get to all that. We'll talk about that at the bottom of the hour and in the second hour. Also in our second hour, we may have a special musical guest joining us. It's just a matter of whether he stops by here. He said he was going to come out to the Cannabis Cafe, and I said, well, if you're going to go to the cafe, swing on by Rolla J Studios. We're only 6 blocks away. So I'm not going to tell you who it is. It's going to be a special surprise, but if he shows up, second hour, going to be really, really cool. But let's talk about the first hour. Cannabis Carrie has our news headlines right after this first break. What's in the news today, Carrie?
Well, in the news today, we're going to cover a couple of drug busts. You know, I could spend, 24 hours a day covering drug busts, but 2 people that I think are noteworthy. But first up, we're going to talk about Mark Emery. You know, he was in court on Friday, and I want to give everyone the lowdown on how that flew.
Yeah. The Mark Emery case, we got to break that at the NORML conference about him getting his sentencing. So we'll talk about that in the news. And plus your daily... Yes.
The Daily Toker Tunes today is from a stasher. I'm so freaking excited. So please stay tuned for that at 20 after the hour.
Yeah, all that stuff coming up next here on NORML Show Live. So stick around. We got more stuff coming up here. We will take your calls in the second hour. We've got all sorts of discussion of the NORML National Conference coming up here next. And the news and the Daily Toker Tunes coming up right after this break. I'm Radical Russ. Ganja John is out today. We'll be right back after these messages.
You're listening to NORML Show Live, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Hello, I'm Radical Russ Belville, Outreach Coordinator for NORML and host of NORML Show Live. Medical marijuana is legal in 14 states today, and I encourage you to visit marijuanadoctors.com to find a physician to help you obtain an authorization for medical marijuana in your state. In most medical marijuana states, patients qualify with a history of either severe chronic pain and or nausea, cancer, AIDS or HIV, glaucoma, seizure disorders like epilepsy, chronic muscle spasms such as multiple sclerosis, and other conditions which vary by state. Learn which conditions are covered in your state at marijuanadoctors.com. If you or someone you know has one of these conditions, marijuanadoctors.com will help you find a physician online or by phone to obtain a permit for medical marijuana. Marijuanadoctors.com is fully transparent and HIPAA compliant. Call 866-996-9333 today or visit marijuanadoctors.com. That's 866-996-9333 by phone or online at marijuanadoctors.com.
Medical marijuana, industrial hemp, consumer cannabis. It's time for this week's NORML News with Cannabis Carrie.
Canadian cannabis activist Mark Emery was finally handed his official fate on Friday afternoon by a U.S. district judge in a Seattle courtroom. Judge Ricardo Martinez sentenced Mark to the expected 5 years behind bars for selling millions of cannabis seeds by mail and phone order to U.S. citizens. In a letter to the court, Emery admitted that his attempt to force a change in the U.S. and Canadian drug laws through civil disobedience and flouting the laws was, quote, overzealous and reckless. The 5-year sentence had been agreed to as part of a plea agreement that lawyers, the U.S. government, and the Canadian government have been working on reaching for 5 long years prior to his extradition to a Seattle detention center back in May of this year. 2 clerks who worked for Emery at his seed store in Canada had pleaded guilty earlier on and received probation. Mark Emery was indicted back in 2005 when the DEA director at that time called his arrest a significant blow to the marijuana legalization movement, saying that, quote, drug legalization has one less pot of money to rely on. This statement has been used ever since to point out that Mark's arrest is political. There are many cannabis seed dealers in Canada, the U.S., and worldwide who continue to sell seeds online, and no other seed business has been targeted by U.S. officials. Emery gave tens of thousands of dollars to dozens of politicians, donated as much as $1 million to fund legalization organizations both in the U.S. and in Canada. Assistant U.S. Attorney Todd Greenberg, who worked on the case against Mark Emery, says that politics did not play a role in Emery's arrest, saying that at the time of his arrest, they believed that Emery was the largest seed dealer and therefore marijuana dealer. Greenberg stated that Emery sold seeds to anyone regardless of age or criminal history. Before his sentence was handed down, Judge Martinez said that the courtroom was not the place to debate the legalization of pot. and that Emery's actions ensured that many other people also broke the law. The judge did say that he received hundreds of letters supporting Emery. A small group of supporters, including his wife Jody, sat quietly through the proceedings on Friday, and many other supporters gathered outside of the U.S. District Courthouse with Free Mark Emery signs. A request was filed after the verdict to the Bureau of Prisons and the State Department that to ask if Emery could be allowed to serve his term out in Canada. And there are some signs that this might be an option. One was that the judge forwarded that recommendation. If Mark is allowed a treaty transfer to serve some of his sentence in Canada, it is most likely that he would be eligible for release as soon as he was transferred back to Canadian soil. While his wife, Jody, and his lawyers continue to work towards that, Mark will remain in the Seattle Detention Center, presumably through December, when he would be then transferred to a prison, most likely in California, to serve out his sentence.
Yeah, this just goes on to show how this is a political act. The DEA, Karen Tandy, she was the administrator at the time, saying, this is one less pot of money for the marijuana legalization movement, one less chance for them to get by. So it has nothing to do with him selling seeds, or being considered a huge dealer of any kind. And of course, had he been prosecuted for this on Canadian soil, the Canadian punishment's like a month, or 60 days, 90 days, something like that. So obviously not a criminal. This is more of a political action. This is a way of silencing someone's political speech that the United States doesn't like, and we're willing to reach across Canadian borders, reach across into another country's sovereignty in order to enforce our stupid war on marijuana. And it goes on, there was that statement in the case that had to do with, this isn't the time or place to be arguing about whether or not there should be legalization. This is something I hear a lot from the opponents. Like, we should have a debate on legalization, just so long as you guys don't talk about it and we don't change anything. We're glad to have the debate as long as there's no possibility that anything's really going to change. And with respect to, whether or not Mark Emery is going to get this treaty transfer and be able to serve out in Canada, if the Canadian officials are going to let him go as soon as they would get him on Canadian soil, then it's my bet that's exactly not what the U.S. would want to do.
According to the LA Times, an aide to Senator Barbara Boxer was arrested last week and charged with possession of marijuana after he was stopped during a security screening while entering the Hart Senate office building in Washington, D.C. A spokesperson for the U.S. Capitol Police, Sergeant Kimberly Schneider, said she observed Marcus Stanley, 43, with a green leafy substance that later tested positive for marijuana. He was taken into custody and released the same day. Stanley had been working for Boxer's Senate office since January of 2009 as a senior economic advisor and made a six-figure salary. Boxer's communications director, Zachary Coley, released a statement saying that Marcus Stanley was no longer working for Senator Boxer's office, stating that Stanley submitted his resignation the day after the arrest and that Senator Boxer has accepted it because his actions were unacceptable. The three-term Democratic senator has come out publicly to oppose Proposition 19, the legalization ballot measure in California, her home state. In her Senate race, Boxer has been polling neck and neck with her opponent, Carly Fiorina, who also opposes Prop 19. Their Senate race polling numbers are almost identical to the gubernatorial race between Republican candidate Meg Whitman and her Democratic opponent, Jerry Brown. Both of those candidates have also come out publicly to oppose legalizing cannabis for adults in the state of California. Obviously, marijuana is a major issue in Boxer's race as well as other California candidate races, although her official website does not address marijuana in her list of issues facing California. California Democrats have been largely divided over Prop 19, with most of the major candidates against, and many candidates of smaller races coming out to support the measure.
Oh, boy. In case people came in late, the hammering you're hearing in the background is at Carrie's place. It's Dave. He's trying to get in. No, they're fixing some stuff at Carrie's place, and she's not allowed to tell them to stop. But anyway, with regard to this story, this is I have to be careful because one of my favorite things in the world is Schadenfreude. If you don't know what Schadenfreude is, it's a German word, and it'd have to be the Germans that would come up with a word for this. But it's a word that means to take delight in the suffering of others. And it's one of the things I'm working on because, I want to be a good person and I want to be, full of love and caring and all that happy hippie stuff. But it does my heart a little twinkle of good. I get this little sense of fun come into my life when someone who's a vocal opponent of ending prohibition ends up having someone in their family be a victim of that same prohibition. Senator Barbara Boxer's aide here now getting, I believe it was the aide, getting involved here, getting busted with the marijuana. Too bad you're against Prop 19 because, if Prop 19 were to pass, Senator Boxer, there'd be no problem with your aide. There'd be no political stink being raised here, in regards to this case. It's just ironic, and it always cracks me up whenever we get some sort of prohibitionist, who gets caught up like this.
Okay, I'm back. Reggae icon Bob Marley's image is a regular feature in head shops, festivals, and all things celebrating cannabis. The late musician was an outspoken advocate of marijuana legalization and the Rastafarian movement, which advocates the spiritual use of cannabis. His daughter, Makeda Marley, 29, has pleaded guilty on a 2-year-old case involving the manufacturing of marijuana. Last Tuesday, Makeda pleaded guilty to possession of 11 mature and 3 juvenile marijuana plants and tampering with evidence. According to the criminal complaint, police entered her residence on September 8th of 2008 after a DUI arrest. She let the police search her basement and went to get a key for them, but was then seen trying to remove a plant from the premises. Marquita said if not for family ties, she would have moved somewhere more accepting of cannabis use than Chester County, Pennsylvania, but her mother and the father of her 5-year-old son live in the area. She will be sentenced on October 25th, where her lawyers will present a number of people who personally know her to testify as a character witness. It is assumed that the prosecutor in the case will argue for jail time. Marquita's lawyers describe her as a devoted mother, an accomplished artist in ceramics, and says she's working towards opening a bed and breakfast.
You know how we have laws when it comes to hunting about not setting traps or, baiting animals? We can't put a bait out there and just sit there and pick them off because it would be way too easy. There should be a law about that for cops going after Marleys. or Willie Nelson's bus or Snoop Dogg's bus. I mean, come on, guys. That's shooting fish in a barrel. That's way too easy bothering these people. Just yet another reason why we need to end this stupid prohibition on marijuana. As if, one of these Marley kids is hurting anyone out there, as if she's, distributing to kids, as if she's any sort of criminal or causing any sort of problems. No, but because she's got this plant growing on her premises, we got to give her some problems. This is a big issue here, and this fish in a barrel aspect of prohibition is something I talk about quite a lot. I always call the DEA the Drug Employment Agency, because, it gives these cops these jobs. And you think about the burn grants, I like to think of those as burning through our taxpayer dollars, to send money to local law enforcement so they can buy armored personnel carriers and stun grenades and battering rams and all these, tools of warfare. It's just a shame. It reminds me too, Chief Greenbud was here this weekend for the NORML National Conference. He's got a new song that he's putting together, and he asked me about it because he was worried about the lyrics. And it's because in the lyrics of his song, he talks about, how we can't change what's going on. We keep trying to change, but for 40 years, we haven't been able to change this prohibition. And one of the lyrics goes into this, what am I going to have to do? Go get some ammo, and settle the score? We're not the ones who've been calling it war. And it brought me up to, thinking about this, if anybody had been treated like we've been treated these past 40 years, and not gone to armed insurrection, armed revolution, that right there is a statement for how safe and effective and wonderful cannabis is, right? I mean, if they'd been treating any other, minority group, ethnic group, the way that we've been treated, well, then we get into the war on drugs and racism, and there's a whole bunch of that. They do kind of overlap. But the fact that we haven't gone into armed revolt, that we haven't, stormed our state houses and gone in with weapons blazing over the way we've been treated, over the way our hemp heritage has been taken from us, our birthright has been taken from us, and our civil liberties along with it, that just is a testament to how peaceful and wonderful the cannabis community is. Alrighty, it's time for us to take a break, and we are well deserving of this break after this NORML National Conference. Stick around. When we come back, we've got your Daily Toker tunes from one of you out there in Stash World.
It's 20 after the hour. and we have to take a short break, if you know what I mean. Please support these sponsors who support NORML Show Live.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would send you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Law420.com. Hello, I'm Russ Belville, Outreach Coordinator for NORML. In my job, I read literally hundreds of headlines each month involving nonviolent, productive citizens whose lives are ripped apart by a marijuana or drug arrest. Many citizens could avoid arrest by refusing police searches and remaining silent, but police are well trained to confuse and intimidate. That's why you have a right to speak to an attorney before answering any police questions. I hope you never need to exercise that right, but if you do, make your first call to the law offices of John C. Lucy IV. John Lucy is an accomplished criminal defense attorney with expertise in Oregon's medical marijuana law. John Lucy understands and respects cannabis and drug consumers of all backgrounds. Call John C. Lucy IV at 503-227-6000 or visit in downtown Portland. Address available at law420.com. That's John C. Lucy IV at 503-227-6000 or visit law420.com today.
Cannabinoids and health.
Cannabinoids.
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 Why am I having trouble saying that?
Cannabinoids.
Jeez.
Cannabinoids.
What a gift.
Flame on if you can. You're looking for that dope weed. Fire it up. Flame on if you can. You're looking for that dope weed. Pony boys a man. Flame on if you can. You're looking for that dope weed. Flame on is a lighter. If you burn buds when you cruise to a rider.
It's time for your Daily Toker Tunes, the best in 420-friendly music from all genres that uplifts, entertains, and informs the public. Our pod-safe music is donated by freedom-loving musicians who support our goal of ending adult marijuana prohibition. Today we bring you tunes for Roots Monday, our celebration of the music that evolved into the popular modern music of today. We pick the best of blues, country, folk, and jazz with a 420 feel and serve it up for you every Monday. Brought to you by PlanetFantastic.com and Bella Blue Tie-Dye Fashions. If you'd like to submit your song to be played on NORML Show Live, send it to us at stash@normal.org. Now, here's some great independent marijuana music for today's Daily Toker Tunes. Welcome back, everyone. 23 after the hour for our Daily Toker Tunes today. We are going to have a treat, and I'm going to bring Carrie back on the line to talk about it. Carrie, welcome back.
Well, I'm really excited. You know, we always tell people, hey, if you hear of a musician that would be good on the stash, let us know. And my dream is that somebody will just stand up and say, hey, I can do this, and that is actually the case. Greg DeHote is an active member of our NORML Show Live community, and most of you know him as Cannabis Cure, and now you will also know him as a talented musician. Greg lives in the South UK and tunes in regularly to get informed on cannabis law here in the States. He's a cannabis activist in his homeland, and he calls in regularly to the show to give us a perspective of cannabis laws and policies from the UK. Greg suffers from health conditions that would qualify him in most of our medical marijuana states as a patient that would be allowed to use cannabis medically. Today's Toker Tune is called WWJHD, meaning What Would Jack Herer Do? During the NORML conferences last week, many activists from around the country talked about Jack Herer and what he did for our community. Prop 19 was brought up more than any other single issue at the conference, so today's Get Back to Work Monday tune is perfect in that it marries these two subjects. Now, inspired by the recent push to legalize in the U.S. State of California and Russ's recent rant about those that oppose Prop 19 by involving Jack Herer's name, Greg wrote this tune for us. So thanks so much, Greg, and we sure hope to hear more from you really soon.
All right, thank you. This is our own Cannabis Cure, Greg DeHote from the UK with WWJHD.
idealist. He originally imposed Proposition 215. He initially imposed Senate Bill 420. Over time, however, Stan took pride in the role he played in inspiring those changes. Was the people would accept those limits.
That's our own Cannabis Cure with WWJHD. What would Jack Harrer do? Including shout-outs to Radical Russ and Ganja John. Thanks so much, Cannabis Cure, for the tune. We'll get more of this played on our regular rotation. Listen between the replays and all night long for our daily Toker Tunes rotation. This will be in it. Who knows, maybe we'll add some bass and drums to it someday. Thanks so much, Greg, and anybody, if you want to send in some tunes, you can always send us tunes at stash@normal.org. We'll get them to our regular editors. Also, had a bit of an announcement I had to make, and I didn't get it made last week, but great news here. If you want to get involved helping out the Normal Daily Audio Stash and Normal Show Live, if you'd like to join us as one of our correspondents or as a music editor, we're willing to take you on. We got Cannabis Cure, who's our kind of our informal UK correspondent. We may make it more formal and do some regular reports maybe once a month, kind of like what we do with Danny Danko and so on. So if you'd like to be the correspondent from your region of the country, you know, I'm looking for Northeast correspondents, people in the South, people in the Midwest. If you're involved with the Normal chapter or if you're not, what I'm most interested in is your reliability and your dedication to the cause, and that you can make a schedule and you can stick to the schedule and be on the air when we need you. So if you want to be a reporter for your area, covering, you know, the cannabis community in your area or the emerging cannabis community, just send me an email at stash@normal.org. Also, our regular Friday music editor, our Rockin' Friday music editor, Eric Smokesbud, isn't going to be, I'm sorry, not Eric Smokesbud, pardon me, our Wednesday editor, Johnny Reeferseed, is now getting busy with the musical career. He's not going to be able to handle the Irie Wednesday Daily Toker Tunes. So, if someone out there is well-versed in reggae, world music, Latin music, calypso music, and can get us some pod-safe material to play on the air, and there's all sorts of places you can get it, PodSafe Music Network, IOTA Promonet, you can ask our other music editors where they get their information, and when people send songs to me, you're part of an email list. I send the information out out to you so you can get that music on the air. So if you're interested in being our music editor, and if you want to call in and introduce the tunes yourself, that's great. If you'd rather write it down and have me introduce it, that's great too. Whatever you can work with. We know you're volunteering, so we try to make it as easy as possible. But if you'd like to be our Irie Wednesday Reggae World Music editor, again, send me an email at stash@normal.org, and we'll get you on the air.
It only comes twice a day, but I don't care. It's 4:20 somewhere.
All right, time for our Cannabis Community Calendar, which is brought to you by homegrown.com, HOMGRON.com. Great apparel for the cannabis community. Excuse me, just bringing up the website here. Also wanted to remind you this weekend, the big news coming up in the calendar this weekend is the Boston Freedom Rally taking place on the Boston Common, the home of American democracy. If you haven't been to Boston Freedom Rally, make the trip to go out there. It was my first time last year, and it was an amazing rally. They've decriminalized marijuana in Massachusetts now, so it's much freer than it has been in the past. There was plenty of, shall we say, herbal atmosphere going on. A great activist base there with NORML, all the guys out there involved in the Northeast to change marijuana laws. The Boston Freedom Rally. Now, it's kind of strange with the Freedom Rally in that when you go there, it's just the one day, it's just the Saturday, and it starts at like noon and ends at 6. And literally, like, you're done. They kick you out, you're gone. For those of us here in the Pacific Northwest who are used to Hemp Stock or Hemp Fest, where it's a 2-day thing and it's all day long, it ain't that way with Boston Freedom Rally. It's very brief. It takes place in like a 6-hour window. So check out the website, bostonfreedomrally.com, I believe is the website. I'm trying to get that looked up right now to be sure. But check that out, Boston Common. And you can also go to NORML. Just Google those terms, and that should get you the information you need. Now, coming up on our calendar today, Monday, September 13th, the Southwest Michigan Compassion Club is meeting at the American Legion Hall in Buchanan, Michigan. Please join them to learn about medical marijuana in the state of Michigan. Tuesday, September 14th, the weekly medicating event is taking place at the Phoenix Cafe in Hazel Park, Michigan. The Kalamazoo Area Compassion Club is meeting in Kalamazoo, Michigan at Charlie's Place, and Hemp TV is on the air in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-880-0666 for tickets to the show. On Wednesday, September 15th, Benzie County NORML is having their meeting in Benzonia, Michigan. Contact Reverend Steve at 231-882-4496 for details. The Grand Traverse Compassion Connection meeting is taking place at the Grandview Parkway in Traverse City, Michigan. GTCompassionconnection.org for details. And Wednesday, September 15th, Tulsa NORML in Tulsa, Oklahoma is having their meeting at the Hardesty Regional Library, working in Tulsa to lessen the penalties for responsible adult cannabis consumers. For more information, check out tulsanormal.org. On Thursday, September 16th, Schoolcraft County NORML is having their meeting at Hypnotic Hydroponics in Manistee, Michigan. And Philly NORML's having their open meeting at the A-Space. They always meet on the first and third Thursdays of the month at the A-Space. Check out phillynormal.org for more details. And to get information on all of these events coming up on NORML's Cannabis Community Calendar, just check out normal.org/calendar.
Almost busted in Laredo, but for reasons that I'd rather not disclose.
I smoke pot, and I like it a lot. Hi, this is Willie Nelson. I learned a long time ago that marijuana is a lot safer to use than alcohol. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana by adults. It's time we stopped arresting and started respecting responsible marijuana smokers in America. And to learn what you can do to help, please contact NORML at www.norml.org or call toll-free at 888-67-NORML.
The show was long and we were just sitting there, and we'd come to play and not just for the ride.
Starfish Designs, makers of the original Gandalf.
I'm Radical Russ, and when I want to relax, I always have my 17-inch long original Gandalf from Starfish Designs nearby. The hand-blown borosilicate glass is strong and easy to clean, and the design is sleek and sophisticated. Starfish Designs are available from Bend, Oregon at a glass retailer near you. For locations, call 541-788-GLASS. That's 541-788-4527. Marijuana and alcohol are the two most popular recreational drugs in America. Marijuana smoking is non-toxic, relatively safe, and has a low risk of dependence. Alcohol drinking is potentially fatal, dangerous to society, and is quite addictive. Marijuana is safer, so why are we driving people to drink? That's the question of the new book, Marijuana is Safer, So Why Are We Driving People to Drink? By Paul Armentano, Mason Tvert, and Steve Fox. Visit Amazon.com or ChelseaGreen.com today to order your copy of Marijuana is Safer, or visit MarijuanaIsSafer.com.
You want answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended Shaolin Temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley. Radical Rant.
Oh, welcome back, everyone. 38 after the hour. I'm not really ranting today. I'm too happy. I've had such a great weekend. It's just that Ganja John isn't here today, and so I didn't have time to, pretty up the set list, and Radical Rant was still in it. So, hold on. Let me rant at something. Let me think. Damn it, Portland! A $40 parking ticket for a Saturday? What are you, crazy? All right. Ranting done. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the weekend, the week that we've had, the Wednesday that we, starting on Wednesday all the way through Saturday, Sunday. And to get this conversation started, I'm going to bring in a special guest who's been sitting here, who's been at the house, actually been here at Rolla J Studios, since Wednesday, I suppose. It's Garrett Overstreet from Tulsa NORML. Garrett, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Russ.
Yay! Yeah, I'm going to bring up a Chiron even here. We'll get you. I might not have that loaded. Okay, we'll get it all fixed here. We'll get the two-shot going. But so you come here from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We got here on Wednesday, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been here since Wednesday. Give us your impression as someone from Oklahoma, like through the looking glass world that you've stepped into here in Oregon.
It's night and day. There's no comparison to Oklahoma. Oklahoma's got absolutely nothing like the Cannabis Cafe or obviously the Governor Hotel was amazing, letting us use the medication lounge, and it was just different. Very different coming from Oklahoma. We don't have any medical marijuana laws and mandatory minimums. It's intense.
Yeah, we did the story of Will Foster, who got sentenced in, I don't remember what year it was. We got like 93 years for weed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a pretty bad situation when we're talking about a place like Oklahoma. You come out here, you get to the Cannabis Cafe, and it's open and free and just so much fun. It's just hard for people to believe sometimes. So you were here doing a presentation at the NORML conference. It was our breakout session that we were doing, Tools for Activists, and you got to tell people about what the work you're doing with Tulsa NORML as well as SSDP and some of these other NORML chapters. Tell folks what it is you do for NORML, because I think it's a great example of, I always get people saying, how can I get involved? How can I get involved? And I say, well, what do you do? And that's kind of how you came into this. You found what talents you had and how you could apply them to NORML. So tell people about that.
Well, like I say, I do a number of different things, but I started off doing the banners and just little graphics, business cards, and then started moving on with websites. And we started up moving, into Tulsa, finally got that started, and then we moved off to just tons and tons of different chapters left and right, from Fayetteville all the way to New Jersey, New York. Now I'm helping with people out there, with Prop 19. So it's definitely expanded way, way, way beyond what I thought Oklahoma, would bring. So
no doubt. And that's the thing, too. I was in Idaho. I grew up in Idaho. And you think about, well, what am I going to do in Idaho to help end marijuana prohibition? It's so rabidly conservative, so anti-pot. But now in the generation of the internet, and you're 25, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so as the internet generation, you guys don't think geographically so much. It's like, dude, I can build a website from anywhere for anyone.
Right.
So that's a really cool aspect I like about that. Tell folks about how, the response you've gotten, because I think a lot of people they'll see the price tag of a normal conference and they'll go, oh my God, $350 for 3 days to and then you got to buy a hotel and then you got to get a flight out there. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to cost a lot of money. I don't know if it's really worth it to go out to that kind of thing. But even besides just the panels that you see, the expertise that you're paying for there. Tell them about the value, what you've gotten, especially the hits you've gotten for Tulsa NORML, just off the networking aspects.
Oh, yeah. Actually, this morning I looked at the Tulsa NORML website, and we had 11,700% increase. We jumped from roughly about 30 or 40 hits a day to about 2,000 hits in the past day, and then 2,000 hits just in the past 12 hours. So it's definitely jumped quite a bit. And then met dozens and dozens of people, Steve Bloom from Celeb Stoner, Danny Danko from High Times, people who only I've known on Facebook and MySpace, and now I actually get to see them in person, and it's, mind-blowing.
Yeah.
That I get to meet individuals like Rick Steves.
Yeah.
That blew me away.
Yeah. Governor Johnson at the party was there, and I got to talk to him a little bit, and he was fantastic. He did a morning not a presentation, but a speech to the conference. But the night before, he was supposed to be there Friday. This is to give you an idea how cool Governor Gary Johnson is. He was supposed to be there Friday to do a major press conference and everything, and we called up the local media and everything to get this arranged. And he was delayed out of Tulsa, or not Tulsa, but out of
Denver.
No. El Paso, somewhere in Texas. It's a big place. But anyway, Fort Worth. That's it. He was delayed coming out of Fort Worth, and for a long time, like they had some sort of lightning storms or something. So they shut down the airport for 3-4 hours. So he was delayed. He was not going to make it there for Friday. In fact, we brought up the live flight tracker website, with the little green line shows you where the plane is in the sky, to show everyone at the conference. See, there's his plane. That's why he's not here. But this is how cool Gary Johnson is that because he was late for the day event, he came out to our party, our fundraiser party. Now, our fundraiser party was held at the Red Lion across the river in Grand Avenue near the convention center. And it's on the Sky Room, which is this big bar with lots of open windows on the 6th floor roof and an open balcony, right? So we've got the big PA system, Chief Greenbud's playing, Los Marihuanos are playing. We got people from all over the country out on the patio, enjoying cannabis, enjoying themselves. And he was there. He came out there because he felt bad that he missed the day thing. Did a wonderful talk there at the party about how, we're the people that are going to change it. And, we've not been listened to for, from all the politicians and so on. And even posed for a picture with the NORML board and Rick Steves with one of Smoke Dog's, what we call a Portland pinner.
Oh, yeah.
You saw the Portland pinner, right? It's about a 15-inch long joint wrapped up, 2-3 ounces, right?
Oh, yeah.
Here's a guy, Governor Gary Johnson, who could very likely be getting the GOP nomination for president, willing to stand in a photo with a whole room full of known pot smokers who advocate the legalization of marijuana. I was stunned. I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe that we're partying with the possible next president of the United States.
I know.
Now, he wasn't a toker. He's not a toker. He doesn't smoke, right? No. He doesn't even drink. He's one of these healthy guys, man. Triathlete, And, but that was part of his speech too. He says, I don't, use or anything like that. But obviously you people are, adults and you're behaving yourselves and there's nothing wrong and there's no crimes going on here. What's the problem? So, that kind of stance, that's like a major, major sea change in the political feel of the marijuana issue. That even 2-4 years ago, you wouldn't have a politician dare to be in that room.
No.
Especially with Twitter and phones and everything like that. So how did you feel about that? I mean,
like I say, it was amazing. I was actually in Tulsa asking some friends at the bar. There was a fight going on and everyone's being up strippers. Very boisterous bar. And I was like, asking them, what would a bar be like if they only served cannabis rather than alcohol? Came to the Cannabis Cafe, and much to my surprise, a perfect illustration that there was just no fights, there was no one getting sick, it was just different.
There was some people laying down.
There was definitely a lot of naps going on.
The hash oil people.
Oh.
This is a fun thing. We were. I gotta do it. Those of you in the chat room, you'll know some of our regular chatters. Mr. Spoff, right? Mr. Spoff was there, and he's kind of like denigrating our weed. He's like, "Oh, we get stuff this good out on the East Coast. I don't see what the big deal is about this Oregon weed. This seems, that's all. This is fine. I can smoke this all day, no problem, right?" Then we got him some hash oil. And Mr. Spoff met the hash oil and conducted some science, let's just say. And he learned the hypothesis of the hash oil, which is it ain't the weed. It's the hash oil.
It's too strong. It's too strong.
He had to go take a Spoff walk. He had to get out of the building. He's like, I'm too paranoid. I gotta go. Yeah, Carrie's telling you. Let's bring Carrie on the line. If you'll grab that last one, Carrie. Right, you were out there walking Spoff off of his hash hit, I believe.
Oh, sure. Incriminate me. Yeah, and I have to say, for the rest of the evening, he refused everything that was handed to him.
Yeah, that was it. He's like, I'm done. I cash in my chips. I'm all done. Hey, so we're just generally talking about the NORML National Conference. No, keep Carrie on there for a second. We're talking about the NORML National Conference and our general feel from it. Did you have, Carrie, some observations, some things about National Conference that stood out to you?
Well, I was just really inspired by all the young people that attended. I know it was a great effort, and I wish I had my crap together as much in my early 20s as so many of these kids that came out to the conference. I can't say what I found myself doing when I was talking to them about their home areas, where they came from, what the cannabis laws were from them. I found myself just saying, move out here. But that is not what the conference is about. The conference is about having everyone come together and inspiring you to go home to your home state and make a difference where you live. Russ, you and I talked about the brain drain. We've actually had a few conversations about brain drain. If California and Oregon and Washington legalize, then lots of the smart people that, enjoy cannabis might move out here, kind of voting with your feet. But what that would leave in our country is a split. As more and more liberal people leave these conservative areas, we're going to have a very, very divided country. So all the kids that I said you can come and live with me, you totally still can. But I really want you to go home and do some activists in your own community.
Yeah, that's something Garrett and I were talking about, too. He's like, I got to stay in Tulsa and help fix, what's going on in Tulsa, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the scenery here in Portland, Oregon, but I would much rather bring Portland, Oregon back to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the thing we're trying to inspire people to do. It's one of the hardest things about fighting for legalization is that you're asking people to imagine a world that doesn't exist to them. And they don't have anything to compare it to, really, except for alcohol. The only mental thing that really approaches it to them conceptually is the idea that people can drink and there's bars and you can legally buy alcohol. That's their only comparison, because there's very few people alive today that can think back to the early 1900s, when you could last buy bottles of cannabis tincture or whatever else at the store, right? So, and even then, even if we get the people who are old enough in their 90s or even hundreds to remember that time, even back then, there wasn't really a cannabis community. It wasn't part of culture. It was a medicine, but it wasn't thought of as something that you smoked recreationally, that you smoked socially, smoked for enjoyment. So this is a brand new thing. We're asking people to imagine. Imagine a world where people can buy pot, grow pot, smoke pot, go to bars, smoke pot, get with other people and smoke pot. It blows their mind because they can't compare it to anything. They can't focus it or put a hook on it, in their mind to think of what that would be like. And again, the only thing they can compare it to is alcohol. And there's a lot of negative connotations with alcohol. And since marijuana is illegal, people's mindset is, well, alcohol, let me think of all the bad things about alcohol. Since marijuana is illegal, it must be worse than that. So that's the only concept people can hook onto. So we bring them out to Cannabis Cafe, like you were saying, and now you have a reference. Now, this is what it's like. And we've thought of that. And of course, we're in the choir, right? So we've thought of this for a long time. But even if you're in the choir and you've grown up and lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma your whole life, you can't fully conceive of what it would be like until you've been in it.
No, this is the first time I've been to any state with medical marijuana laws. So I was just, very honored to come here and be, able to speak with all these different panelists and especially to be here on the show as well. That's it's really cool to see all these just different things. So many different things. I'm overwhelmed. It's hard to elaborate in words.
Yeah.
So. It's different.
Garrett was helping me set up the studio here, and it's the amazing chaos that you pull out this big pile of tangled up cords and boards and electronics, and then it turns into this. So really glad. Thanks, and also want to thank everyone who joined us on the stream. We were up on the NORML.org front page, and really brought our room counts up hugely. We had 12,000 viewers each day, for sure. I saw the room up above 400. I know at one point someone was looking for it to hit 420, number of people watching live. It's something I'm going to be experimenting with. We've also put the live player up on the Stash website now. Oh, and let me bring that up. Carrie brings this up about my presentation. We had 3 presentations we weren't able to bring because of technical difficulties that we had. There was one, my presentation, I don't know why, right when I was starting, the Stickum kicked us off. And Stickum will do that every now and then. It'll kick you off if you've got a bad connection or something. But we were on a hardwired connection, so I don't know what happened. But right when I went to my presentation, it cut us off. I'm going to do my presentation tomorrow here live on Normal Show Live. I'll give you the recording that we made, because the recording turned out fine. So we'll get the recording that I made live with the audience applause and all that kind of stuff. But I'll run the slideshow here for you on the screen as well at the same time. So we missed my presentation. We missed Senator Cisco McSorley from New Mexico. And first of all, that name, Cisco McSorley. Doesn't it sound like a character in a Warner Brothers cartoon? Cisco McSorley, right? Somebody Yosemite Sam would go after. But anyway, we missed his, I can't remember what, I remember why. Carrie kicked the cord. Carrie, get back on the mic here. Carrie kicked the cord.
Oh my.
We're calling you out on that.
It's true. It's really true. That was a terrible moment. You hadn't got his name right because we were being a little too chatty, so I leaned over to ask Chris Goldstein who the speaker was that was coming up to the podium. And, maybe the Stashers don't know, but you personally know, Russ, I'm not the most graceful of females. And I kicked
not going to win any gymnastics awards.
I kicked the cord right out of the wall, and everything went down. The computers, the podium mics, the mixer board. But I have to say, you brought it up in about 5 minutes. That was some pretty excellent fixing there.
Yeah, we fixed it on the fly. It was me. We're doing it live. We're doing it live. So yeah, there was that moment. And then Friday morning, the first presentation, I'm so sad about this too. The first presentation on Friday morning was Richard Evans doing a presentation on what we could learn from alcohol prohibition. Did you get to see that one?
No.
The Friday morning presentation? It was what marijuana reformers could learn from alcohol prohibition, and he compared and contrasted them. It was awesome because, first of all, a lot of people don't realize during alcohol prohibition, you could possess alcohol. You couldn't manufacture it, you couldn't sell it, you couldn't transport it, but you could possess it. Right? And you could also get medical alcohol. Mm-hmm. You could get all sorts of different exemptions for your use of alcohol. So really, alcohol prohibition was really just decriminalization.
Correct.
You could possess it, but it's still illegal to sell it, transport it, whatever. So it was a great presentation. Unfortunately, and I don't know how this plan came together, but at the Governor Hotel, there's this big ballroom on the 3rd floor and a big ballroom on the 4th floor. And I don't know who did this. But our conference was planned so that all the main events were on the 3rd floor on Thursday, on the 4th floor on Friday, and on the 3rd floor on Saturday. So I had to move the entire setup up the floor on Friday. And we got there on Friday and did the whole setup in the morning. The internet wouldn't work. So I wasn't able to stream that first presentation on prohibition. So.
In all my days of DJing, back when I was a little younger, before my activist days, I set up a lot of gear, a lot of equipment, a lot of weddings and whatnot, but that was a tangle of wires. There was quite a bit of mess there, so...
Oh yeah, this was a workout. We did between because we also had the private parties. We started with the Wednesday private party at the Cannabis Cafe, pre-registration party for people that were flying in that day that came in. That was your first night there, right? Wednesday night. So we did Wednesday and we played music. My brother Josh Belville played, and some of you here in the chat room were there, right? You got to hear him do Let's Get Stoned Together, with live backing. So Josh played and Asha played. And we had a great time, but of course that meant I had to set up a PA. Then I had to tear that PA down, get up like 6 in the morning on Thursday, run out to the hotel, set up all the PA and the streaming and the computers for the Thursday show, tear it down on Thursday so that we could move it up to the second floor for Friday's show. Thursday night, go back to the Cannabis Cafe, party some more. Friday day, go up to that fourth floor, set it all up back again. Friday night, tear half of it down so we can take it over to the Red Line for the private party, set that up for the Los Marihuanos and Chief Greenbud. Oh, and Greta Gaines was there as well. We got to hear Greta Gaines play at the cafe, and Ben Scales. People know him from the song that we played, "Growing Marijuana in My Yard," right? He was there, played that live. Tear down the Friday night party, go back to the Red Line or to the Governor on Saturday, set up again, tear it down on Saturday. Oh, it's just. So I worked pretty hard this week.
Yeah, I definitely was sweating a lot.
It was a lot of sweating going on. So. But I hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope folks in the chat room that you got to see a NORML conference for the first time and what goes on. Some of the presentations were amazing, and throughout the rest of this week, I'll be chopping up some of the highlights of the NORML National Conference, the audio highlights, and bringing them to you here on the show. And for those of you who would like the full presentations and the full audio, we'll have those online just as soon as I can process them. It's going to take me a while, but we'll get them edited. You can also check out our special events feed. I don't have the link right now, but I'll make sure I get a link up at stash.normal.org so that you can check it out. The special events feed, so that as I process these things and they get loaded up, you can subscribe to that feed, iTunes, iPod, whatever, and it'll just download as soon as I get them processed. I'll do them chronologically, so the Thursday stuff will come up first, then the Friday stuff will come up, and then the Saturday stuff. We don't have I think I do actually, though, have some recordings of the Friday night party as well with Los Marihuanos and Chief Greenbud. Nice. So we'll get that taken care of. Coming up in our second hour, just more general chat about NORML National Conference. And since we won't be recording toward the end of the hour there, I'll see if I can play some stuff. Also, we may have, crossing my fingers, a special guest joining us here in studio to play a little guitar. We shall see if he shows up. This is a NORML Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation. Make sure to check us out on stash.normal.org. That's our blog, the Stash blog, where you can get the highlights of our news stories, more information about everything that we talk about here on the show. You can email me here, russ@normal.org, the show, stash@normal.org, or ganjajohn@normal.org, Carrie@normal.org, Karri, or cannabiscarry@gmail.com. For everyone here at NORML Show Live, thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for the second hour of live talk and call-ins. And until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is NORML Show Live, the voice of the Marijuana Nation.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it, and it goes down smooth.